Hey everybody, it's Amy Berger here again from 2itnutrition.com. I just wanted to do kind of a follow-up to my previous video on the top 5 things that can cause a weight loss stall on keto. It occurred to me after I posted that I probably should have given some concrete examples of what I was talking about so I can give you some actionable advice to hopefully break a fat loss stall if you're in one. So definitely thyroid video is coming next, but I wanted to do this before I forgot. And I ate the pork ribs that I mentioned in the top 5 stallers video, and they were amazing. Super easy. Get yourself a crock pot or a slow cooker if you don't already have one. It's such an easy way to cook delicious things. But anyway, on with the show. So, there were 5 things that I mentioned in that video. The first was too many carbs, or what we call carb creep. And again, like I mentioned previously, this is usually totally unintentional, totally inadvertent. Nobody means to start eating a lot more carbs. We just do it. We become complacent. If we were tracking at one time, we stop tracking, or we just, like I said, become complacent. I don't like the word lazy. We become complacent. We eat carbs without even realizing. And sometimes it could be deliberate. Sometimes it's like, yeah, I am going to have that piece of bread today, or I am going to have that whatever today instead of passing it up like I normally do. Or sometimes the little treat, maybe you made a deal with yourself that you're going to go out to a certain restaurant and it's your favorite place and they have your favorite starchy thing and you're going to get it once a month. Well, maybe it's become twice a month and you didn't even realize. Or, like I said, it's really more the inadvertent little onesie twosies here and there that become threesy, foursies, fivesy, sixies, and before you know it, you're eating a lot more carbs. I think it also does come, like I said, from the sugar alcohols and the keto treats. We do respond differently to those things. So if those things are a regular part of your life and you find yourself pouring, cupfuls of granular Splenda into a recipe, cupfuls of xylitol, maybe rethink that if you're in a stall. It's not that those things are prohibited on keto. They're absolutely allowed. It's just that if you are dealing with a stall, then you have to look to make a change because you're stalled for a reason. And remember what I said, 2 days without losing weight is not a stall. 2 weeks without losing weight is not a stall. A stall implies a significant length of time with no change to your scale weight or your measurements, because you can lose inches, you can lose body fat sometimes, and your body shape can change even if your scale weight doesn't. So please keep that in mind. The second thing that can get in the way is too much fat. And even when most of us were eating a higher carb diet or a regular standard American, standard Western diet, most of us probably knew that soda wasn't the best idea, like full sugar, full calorie soda. And I would argue that fatty beverages, fatty coffees, fatty teas are like the keto equivalent of sugary soda. You wouldn't drink liquid sugar, so why are you going to drink liquid fat, right? You don't want to drink liquid fat. Well, you've got plenty of fat all over your body, for your body to drink. And again, it's not that these things are prohibited outright. Some people can have a fatty coffee every morning and they do great. But if you are specifically watching this because you're dealing with a fat loss stall, then liquid fat is probably not the best thing for you. Liquid calories of any kind, whether they're from sugar like in a soda or from fat like in a fatty coffee or tea or whatever fatty concoction you might be drinking. So the foods that tend to stall people in terms of too much fat are nuts and cheese. They tend to be the biggest offenders. And again, I have to stress, these foods are totally allowed on keto. I mean, if anything, one of the nice things about keto or low carb is that we can finally eat these things without guilt, without regret, without thinking that we're going to clog our arteries and kill ourselves from heart disease. We can enjoy cheese, we can enjoy bacon and butter and nuts and ribs and all this stuff. The reason the nuts and cheese tend to be a problem is because they are extremely calorie dense, extremely fat dense. And we all tend to have what we call hand-to-mouth disease, right? You sit on the couch with the bag of nuts, you're just watching TV, one almond at a time, one cashew at a time. Before you know it, half the bag is gone, and maybe you've had a 1,200 calorie snack, right? Something that was meant to be a snack has turned into, for some of us, almost an entire day's worth of total energy intake. And it's the same thing. It's very easy to do with cheese, especially if you buy like those inexpensive blocks of cheddar or jack. And again, you could sit there in front of the TV, sit there in front of YouTube watching videos, and you just, cut off a little piece at a time, eat it, another little piece, eat it. Before you know it, the block has magically evaporated. You don't know, oh, where did it go? Oh my gosh, it's gone. So those foods are totally fine on keto. They're just so easy for us to overdo. So sometimes they're better off eliminated, at least for some period of time. If you snack a lot on nuts and cheese, then consider eliminating them for a week or 3 weeks and see what happens. Or if you tend to snack on them a lot and they become almost meals, maybe don't make a habit of snacking on them. Make them part of your meal. In other words, like if you're having a salad, have some toasted slivered almonds on the salad or some sunflower seeds on the salad. Don't make a whole meal or a whole snack out of the nuts or the cheese. Again, like grated cheese on a salad is fine. Maybe a piece of cheese melted on some meat dish, but don't go overboard. So number 3 was medication. And I did give some examples of specific medications that can interfere with fat loss. And again, the beauty of keto is that most people, depending on the condition, are able to get off of many, if not all, of their medicines. So if a medication is interfering with your fat loss, consult with your doctor and see if you're in a metabolic and health position now where you can maybe titrate the dose down or eliminate the medication altogether and maybe help your body get back to fat burning mode. And I do know that some medications that are known to cause weight gain, when somebody has to go on that medication and they're on a ketogenic diet, they won't gain the weight, but that medication will interfere with losing further weight. So it's kind of like, still better to do keto if you have to take that medication, but you'd be better off if you didn't have to take the medication. But again, you will have to consult with your doctor about any of that. But hopefully, the whole goal of keto is to make you healthy and to have you on as few medications as possible to manage whatever condition you might have. And I say that with the understanding that there are certain medications that some people will have to take for life, and that's fine. I'm not anti-medication. I'm anti-stupid medications with bad side effects that don't even do what they're supposed to do, or they do it, but they just do it in a mechanism that's kind of really undesirable. The 4th thing was hormones, and I wrapped that into stress because when you're chronically stressed, it messes with your hormones. And I mentioned estrogen dominance last time. I didn't go into detail. If somebody wants me to do a video about that sometime, I can. I think that's a pretty interesting topic for women right now. But the hormones, if your cortisol's high, if you are estrogen dominant, if you're hypothyroid, which again, we'll get a separate video, if your hormones are not optimized, it's going to interfere with fat loss. It's just, like I said, obesity, weight loss, it's not a calories issue, it's a hormonal issue. And I know that might be confusing because I said, well, you might be eating too much fat and those foods are so fat dense and so calorie dense. The thing about keto is that when you eat very, very little carbohydrate and your insulin comes down, that's what frees the body to become a fat burner. The low insulin is what allows stored body fat to come out of the fat cells to be burned elsewhere in the body. Okay, great. Keto makes you burn fat. If you want to burn your body fat, you have to be careful not to consume too much dietary fat. Otherwise, rather than tapping into that stored body fat, your body's gonna burn the cashews and the almonds and the walnut butter and the pistachio butter and the whatever else you might be eating, the 1/4 cup of heavy whipping cream you're putting in your coffee, whatever you're doing. The 5th thing that can interfere with the fat loss is sleep or lack thereof. Too little sleep, broken sleep, meaning you wake up a lot during the night. I think there's a lot of unrecognized sleep apnea out there. If you wake up and just feel like a zombie, like I need coffee to get going, but I can function without it if I must. It's not pretty. I don't recommend being anywhere in my near vicinity if that has to happen, but I can do it. And there's some people that really can't. There's some people that walk around in a fog all day. And I think a lot of those people probably have sleep apnea and don't realize it. And sleep apnea often goes hand in hand with insulin resistance and with type 2 diabetes, specifically because the lack of sleep or the interrupted sleep messes with your hormones. It really like causes it's like metabolic chaos. So, some of you might have a CPAP machine, some of you might get help with that. So I will say though, that those last couple of things, the sleep and the stress and the hormones, are lesser issues compared to making errors with your diet and with your food intake. And so it's kind of like they have an effect. They're not the most powerful things, but they shouldn't be ignored. And the more those things are an issue in your life, the more out of whack your hormones are, the more crazy your sleep is, the more stressful your life is, the more on point your diet needs to be. When your diet is like perfect, or at least perfect for you, because I think we're all a little bit different, the more dialed in your diet is, the more you can get away with regard to having short sleep or being stressed out for a little bit of time or having unbalanced hormones. So it kind of all fits together. There's a lot of moving parts. There's nothing, it's like a spider web. You can't just touch one piece and the whole rest of the web stays the same. It kind of has a ripple effect. So just keep that in mind, that during periods of time that are especially stressful for you, or, oh, life is just crazy, your diet probably needs to be as good as you can possibly make it. And on the, on the contrary to that, the more good sleep you're getting, the more relaxed you are, the more everything is going really well in your life, the more you can, quote, quote, get away with dietarily. The more junk you might be able to eat and not gain weight. And we kind of see this, right? We've probably all heard stories of friends or relatives, or maybe you've even had this personal experience where you go on vacation, maybe you go to Europe, or you even just have a staycation at home. All of a sudden, you're not checking your text from work, you're not checking your emails from work, nobody's bothering you, there's no deadlines, the copy machine isn't on the fritz, and you lose weight and you're not even really trying. Maybe your diet isn't any different than it was, or maybe it's actually worse, and you either don't gain weight that you expect to gain because you're eating more carbs or more fat or drinking more alcohol, and so that could be because you're relaxed, because you're so much more calm and you're sleeping more and you're just enjoying life more. Maybe you're getting outside more, getting more fresh air, getting more sunlight, depending on what time of year it is and where you live. But when all of those things are dialed in, you can get away with more with your diet. So it's kind of like a lever. The better the diet, the more you can get away with lifestyle. The better the lifestyle, the more you can get away with diet. That being said, diet is still going to be the biggest thing. And of course, I'm not going to make a third video to this except the thyroid, but I consider that a whole separate video. I did say the word alcohol. That probably should have been in the top things that can stall fat loss. I certainly know many people who can imbibe a bit of wine, a bit of distilled liquor that's like rum, whiskey, vodka, gin, that stuff, bourbon, that's basically zero carb, and want, very dry wine that have very, very little residual sugar, and it doesn't interfere with fat loss, it doesn't make them gain weight, and they're fine. It doesn't interfere with ketosis, they can even stay in ketosis. So certainly alcohol can be enjoyed on a ketogenic or low carb diet when it's enjoyed responsibly, whether that means not getting drunk or it means staying within how much and what type of alcohol you can consume and still achieve the goals you want. How much can you drink and still lose weight or maintain a weight that you're happy with? So that's it for now. I'm going to kill this one here, and stay tuned for next time on thyroid. It's such a deeply personal issue to me. And I really hope that I can share some educational stuff. In the meantime, subscribe to the channel if this is helpful. My blog is 2itnutrition.com. And what else? That's it. Not gonna put in the plug for PayPal donations, but maybe I will. I don't have a Patreon, but if this is helpful, feel free to send me 50 cents and buy me half a cup of coffee or something. I'll see you guys next time.